Course and Stars podcast. Toby on the mic. Courts watch. Stars watch.
Hi, welcome to the podcast. My name's Toby Lanyon. Thanks for tuning in. This is the second episode of the podcast. Pleasure to have you guys listening in. If you haven't heard of the first episode yet, give that a follow, give it a listen. It's on Spotify right now. On the first episode, we discussed the rise of Cortez. We discussed Mischief's Big Red Boots and everything, all the hype around that. And we discussed Ant Live's latest music video and the art of cinematography, videography, and all that jazz and everything else in between. Like I said, this is the first time for me podcasting, so there's going to be some learnings here and there, but the main focus is to get content out to you guys and stuff that's going to inspire and interest you. So without further ado, let's jump into episode 2 of the podcast.
Stars watch.
One of the most underrated industries in the creative arts for me is sound design. And sound design, if you think about sound, is accustomed or consumed through our lives daily. You know, you listen to an advert, you hear a jingle, your brain automatically remembers that jingle. You listen to sound or music or something composed in a video game, you know, or final boss battle, you hear sound, right through to, you know, the creative arts and other mediums, you know, through to movies as well. Think of all the brilliant movies you've gone into the cinema, and sound is probably one of the most important parts, whether it's a sound effect or musical theme, you know, and sound has played a huge role in creative arts and creativity. You know, you think of the likes of Mozart in the olden days and how pivotal he was, through to jazz, Motown, you know, rock, blues, indie, any sort of sound. And, you know, legends such as Hans Zimmer, Yoko Shimomura for Kingdom Hearts. I remember, I think Kingdom Hearts released their sort of OST for their video games, and it's been renowned as being like one of the best soundtracks. All the way through to here, you know, where I'm doing this podcast, Pirate Studios. I think sound is such a important factor of our lives, and it's almost neglected in a lot of creativity that comes out. And we're definitely going to talk about sort of that aspect of things and how I really discovered sound design. So it kind of goes back to when I went to an event called OFFF in 2018, and it was a brilliant event. If you ever get a chance to go to OFFF, definitely go. It's like the creative hub of graphic design, advertising, animation. You get so many speakers there from the industry, so many speakers from different agencies, freelancers, right through to the individuals, you know, telling their story, their creative journey. It's an amazing event. And I'd gone to this event in 2018 and was just so inspired by what I was hearing. And there was a presentation from a guy called Gavin, and he basically set up a sound design company called Echo Labs, and he gave a presentation, and he was just showcasing, you know, he's sort of composed designs in terms of sound and, you know, sound across sport, across fashion clients, across animation, across movie trailers, and just the intricacies of what goes into it was fascinating. So that's kind of when our sort of something clicked, and I was just like, oh wow, there's really people that actually create sounds, you know, create sounds for various different things, and it just showed the importance of sound designs there. So just did a little bit of digging after that and after that event, and really sort of looked into Echo Labs and what they did, and definitely go and check them out. The founder, Gavin Little, he's worked for the likes of Nike, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Sony. Just think of any real epic ad campaign for the likes of Nike, or, you know, he's had his imprint in terms of sound, and you sort of see the importance and just what goes into audio production. And it was just fascinating just having a look. So definitely check out Echo Labs if you want to get inspired by his work. He's definitely one to see. Kind of from there, just kind of noticed where you can tell that sound design has been really thought through, and it's not just something that an agency or somebody's just downloaded a sound clip from somewhere else, stuck it in, or somebody's music and stuck it in, but you can tell that every movement, every transition, every cut, every change in the scene has a creative sound element to it, a creative sound bite. And that's fascinating. And like I said, check out Echo Labs. Great sound design examples that he's put there. And I remember talking to one of my colleagues in the past who was a composer, and he was doing bits for people here and there. And I remember showing him Echo Labs, have a look at Gavin Little, what he's done, and maybe this is something that you could do because, you know, you're super talented. So I remember showing him this sort of stuff, and, you know, now he's kind of set up his own sound design company, doing a number of different things. He's literally gone from trajectory 1 to 100, you know, because sound design is such a need in the industry right now. So he's doing amazing things in the business, from TV shows, documentaries, advertising, trailers. It just shows you that sound design is, like I said, is one of the most underrated but important sectors in the creative industry. Another aspect of sound design, and if you go through any TikTok video, if you're going through TikTok, you've definitely probably come across it. And this isn't necessarily a new thing, but it's come up as a resurgence through social media and through musicians doing different things in the scene. And the term is turntablism. I pronounced that right. Turntablism, which is the art of manipulating sounds and creating new music, sound effects, mixes, and other creative sounds and beats, typically by using 2 or more turntables and a crossfader equipped DJ mixer. So basically what this is if you think about a DJ on the decks, on the mixing, is that, but it's with visuals, with imagery. So it's the mixing the music or changing the music, but the images change. It's completely fascinating. One of the artists that I discovered this, I can almost say this sort of branch in the music scene was the OFFF. So underscore the OFFF, absolutely brilliant composer. He's done insane stuff for the likes of Adult Swim, PlayStation, Grand Theft Auto. He's got his own Spotify. Definitely check it out. But have a look at one of his videos, and it is literally art. It is literally music mixed in with video, mixed in with cool transitions, cool cuts, almost a mix of 2 different artistic industries and combined into one. And it's just fascinating. And I think there's going to be a big trend of these sort of visual aspects of music, and you see it in concerts. You know, you go to a concert, you see it's not just the DJ playing and there's nothing happening in the background. There's imagery, there's VR, there's visual stuff that will engage the listeners and engage the people. But I think turntablism is a new thing, and I think definitely check out the OFFF. He's absolutely brilliant. Even the producer Timbaland, you know, the legend, he saw one of his posts on TikTok and reposted it and said, "This guy's amazing, this guy's brilliant." So I think is another one of those underrated industries that's going to be making a big resurgence in the music game now, because music can kind of feel a bit saturated, everybody doing the same thing. But I think turntablism is really making a track. And one of the quotes for sound design, I think, epitomizes the importance of sound design. I couldn't really find something related, but this is probably the best that I can find. And it says, Sound is what truly convinces the mind is in a place. In other words, hearing is believing. Jesse Shell, The Art of the Game Design. I think that's a brilliant quote. You know, it just shows that sound puts you in a place where no other medium can put you in, and that's really what sound design is. So in this feature, mainly I want this podcast to be about what others are doing and, you know, things that I've kind of seen and picked up. It's not really something that I want to dive into, you know, my personal life, the ins and outs. But I think what happened to me in terms of my recent holiday is very relevant, and I've almost picked a very antidote to it to sort of tell you guys. So basically, to cut to the chase, I wanted to go to OFFF Festival this year, planned it, booked all the trip, booked the hotels and everything, and was on the way. And as I said previously, OFFF Festival was a brilliant design exhibition, talks, conferences. It goes over 3 days, and it's in Barcelona. So you get to enjoy the sun, you get to sort of network, you get to listen to great creatives. It's just a really good event to go to get inspired. So I'd planned for this event. Everything was planned. Got to the airport, flight cancelled because there was issues with the original flight and the replacement plane. They didn't have enough seats. So I was basically stuck with a bunch of other people at the airport fending for ourselves, and the next flight wasn't until the evening. So literally I had how many hours of time in the airport just wasting away and just waiting for the next flight. And it's one of those things where nobody can predict that's going to happen. You know, if things go wrong, there's nothing you can do about it. But there were things that I was doing that I was like, okay, look, there's nothing I can do about this situation. I've got my pen, I've got my notepad. Let's get some ideas for quotes and styles. Let's write down some stuff. And ideas were just popping in my head, and I was just noting it down. Even at the airport, sitting in the middle of nowhere, I was popping ideas down that probably will set up things in the next couple of months. So in those situations, there are things that you can use around you, things that you've brought with you to mitigate the situation that you can't control. And there's great examples of this where I've been on photo shoots and, you know, the electronics don't work or the power sockets don't work. And it's one of those photo shoots which is time constrained because you're dealing with individuals that only have a certain amount of time, and you're trying to deal with everything at the same time. And sometimes the natural thing is to panic, but I think if you stay calm and just be like, okay, this is the situation. How can we solve this? What can we do? What can I do with what I have around me? Then that's the best solution for it. So in a sense, being stuck at the airport, there was things that I was doing that helped mitigate the situation. You know, like I was saying, even through to trying to find a plug socket to power my laptop. That was a mission to try and find at the airport because not every gate has plug sockets. So I remember having to walk about and finding a plug socket on, you know, one of the corridors, and it was just like, okay, look, I'm going to plug my phone in here. There's not really many people about. I'll just use this to plug the socket in, you know, or networking and chatting to other people that are going to the same event that also delayed, and those people actually being one of the speakers, so they weren't able to make it as well. But basically there's things that you can do in those situations. And I think when it got to a point where it was 8 p.m, no, it was 11 p.m, and we were told that, no, it was 8 p.m. So when it got to a point where it was 8 p.m. and we were told that your flight ain't going to happen today, unfortunately, a lot of people are angry, a lot of people are frustrated. I just kind of said, okay, look, you know, there's nothing really I can do. I'll just hope they can resolve the situation. It's upsetting. I'm missing one day of off. Maybe they'll sort it out, you know. And the ironic thing is that we managed to get a plane, we got a hotel for that day, but the next flight the next day was delayed. So I ended up only seeing, only basically being able to go to 1 day of off, which was super frustrating because it's something that I planned and something that I wanted to experience the fullness of it. But when I was at the airport, I was thinking of The Terminal, the film, which is based on a true story, and it's with Tom Hanks, and he's stuck in an airport for an infinite amount of time, and one of the scenes, which is quite incredible, is like he just adapts to his situation in the movie. So he figures out, like if he plugs all the trolleys in a machine, he gets quarters, and he keeps on doing that till he gets enough money to eat a burger. And that brought me back to how I could link this back to certain situations where things go wrong. And there was a quote that I saw, and it said, "In the terminal, Tom Hanks is hungry, he's literally starving, but life had other plans for him. He never had to settle on eating salted crackers with ketchup, relish, and mustard. He worked hard, he hustled, he networked, he pushed carts to get quarters from the machine. He did what he had to at the time with the cards he was dealt with, and you can do too." And that was from Tazim C. Got that quote from Medium, but it's absolutely true. Sometimes you just have to deal with the cards you're handed. But if you can adapt and use what you've got around you, and there's been many examples with my projects, Quotes and Styles, my portrait series, where I've used, elements in the scene to create something with the models, or just use my intuition or improvisation with stuff around me. And I think it's such an important thing in creativity to use your intuition and improvisation. So in terms of a delayed flight and missing 2 quarters of OFFF Festival, there was definitely some lessons that I learned from there that hopefully you guys have learned as well. So on the subject of going to events, exhibitions, local exhibitions, I think is definitely another important thing as creatives, or even just anybody in the creative scene, or being inspired. And this comes off the back of me going to recent exhibitions in the past couple of months. So some great exhibitions to go and see are, if you're in the London area, are Beyond the Streets at the Saatchi Gallery. It's basically a mix of graffiti, street art, fashion. It's an incredible exhibition, like one of the best. There's literally 100 international artists there. That's probably one of the exhibitions to go and look out for. David Bowie's Aladdin Sane at the South Bank, another brilliant exhibition. I don't even need to speak on the influence or impact David Bowie's had. He's literally a legend. Definitely go and see that. Gabriel Moses, Regina's exhibition at 180 Studios. Absolutely incredible exhibition as well. His creativity is basically personified in that exhibition. A self-taught photographer, filmmaker. It's incredible. So basically my point is, what I'm getting through with this is that exhibitions, actually attending the exhibition, there's the argument that you can say, oh, you can see this stuff online, why don't you go and attend an exhibition? There's something that you get when you go to an event or an exhibition and you see the artwork close up in print. You see something that's been printed, that's been made. You cannot replicate that from viewing it online. And even just being in the room, you get a buzz, you get a feeling that, oh, I've discovered something, or I've this isn't something that you can really look at online. You can see the inner details, you can read about the artists. Sometimes the artists are actually present at the exhibitions there, so you can talk to them. There's just something about going to events. So I see it as exhibitions are almost like creative fuel to fuel your creativity. Almost like building an image bank of stuff that you've seen, because something that you've seen an exhibition could help you in a project in the next couple of months or a year ahead. So exhibitions are really, really important. I really push you guys to go to as many exhibitions as you can, even the free ones. If you're not in a place that has free exhibitions, definitely get a ticket to go one, because I think even supporting the artists as well, the people that do put on the exhibitions, put their arcs in there, it's a double-edged sword. You know, you're supporting them and you're being inspired by them, which in turn will inspire others through what you produce via your inspiration. So that's really the benefits of going to exhibitions. And it was a great quote, basically, that said, I believe that an art exhibition can be engaging, fun, and deeply intellectually satisfying and serious. These are not contradictory concepts in art. Jeffrey Dietsch. So that's really the power of exhibitions. So definitely go and see him. Like I said, David Bowie's exhibition at South Bank, Beyond the Streets at the Saatchi Gallery, and Gabrielle Moses at 180 Studios. Definitely go and check them out.
Quotes watch.
So the quotes watch for today, I actually found it quite difficult to find a quote, but to be honest, this is a quote that I discovered, I think it was a couple of years ago, and it was when I kind of first started this Quotes and Styles project, and it almost epitomizes what I was thinking, but David Bowie put it in such beautiful, beautiful words. And he was basically saying that, I quote, I think it's terribly dangerous for an artist to fulfill other people's expectations. If you feel safe in the area that you're working in, you're not working in the right